Hey guys, my name is Daine McDonald. I'm the founder and CEO of Clean Health. We've educated over 50,000 personal trainers around the world over the last decade, and we've also facilitated over 250,000 personal training sessions through our gyms. So we know what it's like to be in your shoes. And today I want to go through some sales training. I want to go through a framework that I use in my business on myself, but then with my team over the years that's helped us generate over $60 million plus in sales, but specifically over $25 million of that was through our personal training gym. So if that sounds like you and something that you're interested in, stay tuned to the free training. Make sure you click the like button below, hit subscribe, send through any feedback or comments, and I'll see you on the other side. So look, what I want to wrap up today on is how to sell your services as a PT. So look, a bit of an overview on this. I've done over 10,000 sales consults in my career on, across personal training and education. So I've done this a lot. We've generated over $60 million in sales. Over $25 million of that has been in personal training, and I've been responsible for at least about 20 to 25 million of that myself, with the rest kind of being trained up with my staff and trainers. So it's a really invaluable skill set, and arguably one of the most important skill sets for you as a PT. Because like the reality is, if you can't sell, it doesn't really matter how good you are at what you do, you just will not have a business. So here's some math for you. Being passionate about something with limited revenue equals, is basically going to equal a non-successful career, right? So, and an inability to actually go out there and make an impact. And that's the important thing. So obviously the more revenue you generate, right, equals the more income, right? And the more the longevity of your career, but also the bigger business, right? So like the bigger business you have, the more people you can reach, the more lives you can change. So it's like, trust me, like when I started out, 20 years ago, I didn't think that I would be sitting here 20 years later. At last count, there's still a few hundred of you on the live training call today from around the world. Being able to basically help with their fitness career and their business, and who are then going to go out there and impact other clients as well. So I've got 5 key principles for you when it comes to selling your PT services, which I know if you follow are really going to help you in your career and close more sales. First thing is that you need to remember that you are selling a dream. You are not selling sessions. So people are buying a result, right? They're not buying PT sessions. Let that sink in. They're not buying a diet. They're not buying sessions. They're buying that, right? They're buying the result. They're not buying the tool. I use that as an example. So like when someone comes to you, they don't say, "Hey, Daine, look, I really want to buy. I really want to, learn how to go shopping and select foods so that I can look like this." They just want to look like this. Now that is just part of the process to looking like that. So that is what you need to sell. And when I kind of go through this process, you'll understand why that's so important, because a lot of the time when someone comes in for a sales consult, I've seen trainers, they just go straight into basically their sessions, what they do, this and that. It's like, no, like you actually need to stop, figure out what they want, and then go from there. And when you start actually selling the dream and the result and not sessions, that's when you actually start to sell programs and packages, and you're not doing this per session stuff. Like you do not need to sell sessions. I charge 50 a session. I charge 100 a session. No, we sell a program that helps the client go from point A, right, which is where they're at now, right? So point A there to point B. Point A, point B, point A, point B, point A, point B. And like another way to look at it is at the top here, you've got the prospects or your clients, their dream, their goal, that's what they want. And again, using that principle that we went through before, what do they want, right? When do they want it by? And why is it important to them? Because when you determine those 3 things, then you can describe the journey that your program or solution is going to take them on to achieve that. because a lot of the time trainers will go, here's the client, they come in and they just go straight to trying to sell them the goal. Like if you go from there to there, you will not convert your client. You need to go from there, what and when, why, how. When you do all that, it's a fucking slam dunk, right? You've got such an increased likelihood of the client being converted. So let's use that as an example. Let's use an example, right? So Mr. or Mrs. Gen Pop. So this particular client avatar wants to lose 10 kilos, so about 22 pounds. So how long and how much time will that take? Right. So generally we would, based off what we teach through our programs, like for most people, if you follow like some of the methods that we teach, you should be able to drop off them like an average of, you know, 10 kilos. That should probably take you like anywhere between 12 to 24 weeks. 12 weeks at the, because like the initial 2 weeks of a client transformation, they'll probably lose 3 or 4 kilos. A lot of that is water weight. And then even if like in the first 2 weeks they lose 3 kilos, they've got 10 weeks to lose 7. That's 0.7 kilos per week they need to lose for the next 10 weeks. Right? That's like 0.7 kilos over 10 weeks is probably a deficit of between 25 to 30% in terms of calories. Like it's not that much. The first 2 weeks is generally like the hardest period for them, but after that, it's not as much. So even if you use that as the low end of a transformation, 12 weeks, and you extend that out to 24 weeks, right? So client comes in, I want to lose 10 kilos. Well, straight away, or in the case of me, I know as a coach, because I'm well versed in transformations, I know my nutrition, I know my training, I know specifically how long it's going to take me to get that result for the client. So again, hopefully now you're seeing why I went through the lessons today in the process that I did. Because when you're a subject matter expert, like, and you know your stuff, when it comes to sales in your genre, it makes it so much easier, right? So we know that it's going to take between 12 on a low end to 24 weeks on a high end, right? Now, what type of skills would you need to achieve it, right? So again, coming back to skill stacking, is there a skill results return on investment or return on time investment ceiling? Look, as I said, after about 10 years, there's only so many more skills you can learn as a trainer, like to get transformations. Like after 10 years, like if we go back to when I went years 0 to 3, 3 to 9, 10 years, like 0 to 3, 80% of your education, 80 to 100% really, but 80 to 100% is on, in this case, nutrition training. Years 3 to 9, it's 50% on that, 50% on business. Year 10, it's 20% now on the nutrition training and it's 80% on business, right? Because like at the end of the day for this, there's the knowledge, but then there's also the application. Like, why I can speak from such conviction with all this is because our laboratory was 250,000, so 250,000 PT sessions in our gyms. Like we've done this so many times with transformations and clients come in, out of shape, overweight, not feeling good, not looking good. 12 weeks later, 24 weeks, whatever it is, they're in amazing shape. So like when when Mr. or Mrs. Gen Pop comes in, it's going to take you 12 to 24 weeks for this particular goal. But you also know that they're probably, if they were to do it themselves, it's going to take them 12 to 24 months. So like if like how valuable is that going to be to the prospect? Because like if I use myself as a corporate example, right? So like I'm a 39-year-old father, I have kids, I have businesses, I'm CEO of a business, all this type of stuff, right? I work 7 days a week. For me, and I actually just hired a trainer who ironically is one of our students. He's in his early 20s and he's one of our master coaches, Cade Robinson. You can see him on our social profiles. I originally hired him to work with our 3 of our kids, my 3 sons. And so he's basically been training them. But for me, I'm like, I'm too busy, even though I know this stuff, I'm too busy to do all this shit myself. So I'd rather just pay someone to do it because it's more valuable to me. It saves me time and money by outsourcing this to someone else. And you've got to understand that's how the majority of your clients think. They're paying you the same way they would an accountant, the same way they would a lawyer, the same way they would a cleaner. They're paying you to save them time and save them stress. So, like, I know for me, for example, hiring Cade, like, I have a goal. Like, my goal is to lose, like, drop about 5 kilos of body fat, right? So, for me to lose 5 kilos of body fat, sure, it'd probably take me, based off my workload and kind of, prioritizing values between family and all that type of stuff, I don't know, 6 months, right? Being realistic with myself because it's not on the top end of my goalpost right now. But I know by hiring someone, I'll do it in 3 months. So is that worth the extra investment to me? Fuck yes. Right. So how valuable would that be to the prospect, right? And also, what are the comparable market rates? So if we take all that and package that in, and actually before we do that, I've actually got another template which you guys can get off this, which is establishing your MVO template. So MVO, and I'll jump in on that now. It's actually a term that I learned from Sam Ovens, but then he's a marketer, but then modified it as minimal viable offering. So what is the minimum amount of time that you need to spend with a client to help them achieve the desired result that they're after? So what is the minimum amount of time that you need to spend with your niche customer to help them achieve the result they're after? Because, like, let's just say we've got Trainer A. Now, Trainer A has been in the industry for 10 years. Trainer A has done all of the clean health courses. Trainer A has done 10,000 PT sessions. Right? So that's a pretty high-skilled trainer. Trainer B has been in the industry for 2 years. Trainer B has done none of the clean health courses. Trainer B has done 500 sessions. Now, if Joe Blow comes to Trainer A, do you think he's going to get results quicker with Trainer A than Trainer B? It's probably going to be with Trainer A. Now, Trainer A, because of their skill set and their experience, is probably only going to need 12 weeks to get this result, right? Trainer B, they're going to take fucking 12 months because they don't know what the fuck they're doing, right? So Trainer A, because their skill set is so high, they don't need to spend 4 sessions a week training this client. They would get more results in 2 sessions a week in 12 weeks than Trainer B would probably get in 4 sessions a week over 12 months. And I've seen that happen so many times before. So again, that's why I'm asking you to change your psychology in regards to how you sell. We're not selling sessions, we're selling solutions, right? Trainer A, weapon trainer, knows his stuff. He's selling a solution. Trainer B, he's selling sessions. Because Trainer B hasn't invested in themselves. Trainer B has been a textbook, or they might have been a textbook warrior, i.e., they learn the theory but never apply it because they're not out there in the trenches working clients. Be like Trainer A. One of the reasons why I was able to kind of get so, great results with clients and whatnot is like, I did over 20,000 PT sessions in my career. So I had a lot of time to make mistakes, right? And to learn from, doing 50, 60 sessions a week after week, month after month for years. So, like, again, another like gem or pearl I would give off here is like, if you're in the first 5 years of your career and you're working commercial gyms and doing under 35 sessions a week, you need to lift your game. Because, like, again, just simple math. Trainer A does 30 sessions a week, and he does that, let's just say 10 months of the year, right? So that's 1,200 sessions per annum. So over 3 years, trainer A has done 3,600 sessions. Now trainer B, he does 50 sessions a week. Or she does 50 sessions a week because she's a weapon, right? So she's doing 200 a month. She's doing 2,400 per annum. She's doing 48. She's doing 6,200 in 3 years compared to 3,600. She's nearly doubling the output. So not only is she getting 10 times more experience, she's decreasing the time spent on each client subsequently that she needs to get results with on average. So when we take all that and kind of package that into a solution, it could look as something as simple as this: goal, time, frequency, value, offer, right? So the value to your client might be over 2,000. Like, if you can basically help someone lose 10 kilos of weight in 12 weeks and they only have to train 2 times a week with you, I've got the asterisk there because the asterisk also, it means that they're getting a program to do 2 times a week on their own. Outside of that, they're also getting a lifestyle plan, a nutrition plan, assessments, they're getting contact, etc. Like, I talk about this more in depth I've actually got a free course coming out, Sales Closing Secrets. So it's literally expands on all this stuff that we're talking about on sales, which I know you guys will enjoy. So like the value of that's going to be anywhere between $2,000 to $10,000 for someone, right? And like I know for me in my case, like it cost me circa 10 grand, right? Or it's for my kid. Let's say it costs me circa 2.5 grand or whatever it is for 12 weeks. Now that's a worthwhile investment for me to lose that 5 kilos as a corporate CEO now, than to just spend the next 6 months not doing it. Right. And then how much you position that at, like, obviously, like, look, if you're we're all living in different parts of the world right now. So again, you've got to relate this back to your currency and all this type of stuff as well. But like, think about the charge by the value. So like, if you know that it's going to bring $5,000 worth of value, right? Actually, let me rephrase that. If you know it's going to bring $5,000 worth of value, but then like the average market rate in your community is $500, then a 10x price difference is probably too much, right? Like you're not going to charge 10 times more on average than your competitors, because unless you're a celebrity trainer with a massive social profile and a track record of results, no one's going to pay it. So you might do 2 to 3 times more than your average competitor at tops. Maybe 2, maybe up to 5, but it depends. Like, so for me, when I flipped the script to how I charge my programs from sessions to solutions like this in 2010, and my revenue went up by 30% in a month. Because all of a sudden I was like, okay, well, I know this program would be worth $5,000 to this, or $10,000 to this person. It's going to be worth $20,000 to this person. They've been struggling with it for years. I'm literally going to do in 6 months what they've tried to do for 5 years. Now, I know this is going to be worth $20,000 to them, but I'm going to just charge them $5,000. Right? Like, they look at that as a discount, a bargain. Like, oh my God, that's, How many sessions a week is that, Daine? Well, look, Jamie, you're training 4 times a week in total. 2 of that's going to be with me. 2 of it's going to be on your own. I'm going to give you a detailed training plan. Here you can see it on the app. You can go through it. You're also going to have your diet plan in there. You're also going to have any supplementation recommendations, your lifestyle recommendations. You're going to be part of my community group where you're able to ask questions. You've got access to me between these hours and these days every week. So you're getting the complete program to support you on your health and fitness journey. Does that sound good to you, Jamie? Oh, Daine, that sounds amazing. Like, I've taken the session objection and reframed it and given it back to them as a solution that works towards the goal. So again, just to drill home this point, people are buying time back and results, not a service. And this will be, underline this, write it on your forehead, write it on a piece of paper. This will be the main difference between you earning 6 figures or not, or 7 figures, or even 5, whatever it is. This will be the main difference between you having a successful PT and fitness business or not. And again, it needs to be purpose built for your niche. So you have the template that I gave you earlier on, and then this one, the MVO one now. These two things, use these as a framework to start kind of working from when it comes to packaging your services. The second principle is that you are your own product. So an MVO is great, minimal viable offering, but at the end of the day, someone still needs to execute it. So you need to embody your brand, and you can't sell health if you're not healthy. And I know this from experience because, on the left here, you see me as a trainer, jacked, in shape, all that type of stuff. And then on the right, that photo of me overweight there was after I retired from PT and basically went, all in on being the business guy. And anyone that knows me knows that whenever I go into things in life, I go, whole hog, and got really unhealthy. And then, one day I woke up, was feeling really depressed, really like sad and anxious with life, and just said, you know what, enough's enough. And then 9 months later, I'd kind of gone back to that. So I'd lost 30 kilos or 70 pounds. That was in 2019 and 2020. Now, obviously, that photo there, and that photo there, I looked the part, right? I can sell PT there, easy. Like, hey, I don't even need to open my mouth, right? And people will know what I'm talking about. When I look like this, people aren't going to listen to me. And so I'm not saying that you need to, look like that, or look like a bodybuilder, or look like a model. That's not what I'm saying. But like for me, my niche was transformations. It was physique athletes. It was athletes. So it helped my business and my brand that I look like that I was stronger than most of them, and that I was in just as good, if not better shape than most of them as well. Right? Now, for your niche, you might not need that. But I think we'll all agree that as a PT and fitness professional, you need to embody your brand and what you're talking about. So again, that's why, as I mentioned before, book your PT sessions in as appointments. It is very easy. I've made the mistake myself, clearly, to get caught up in life and not prioritize your health. You prioritize everyone else, your family, your kids, your colleagues, your husband, your wife, whatever. And then you get to 7 o'clock at the end of the day, and you're like, oh, fuck, I should work out. But you know what? I'm just going to sit on the couch now and have this bagel or this ice cream. Like, no. Like, book them in. Does the video match the audio? Like, that was actually a profile board from one of my clubs, where we had the different coaches. You could see that obviously, looked the part, but then when actually people looked under the hood, they saw the specialties, the qualifications, the degree, all that stuff. So again, that's why, if you can marry up looking the part with knowledge, it's like a winning formula, because it's very hard to do. You get a lot of people out there that, they might look the part, but then when they open their mouth, they clearly don't know what they're talking about, and they clearly can only get those results on themselves. Right? Like, the best coaches are able to get results with anyone and everyone, not just themselves. The third principle is establish service terms. So, there's 3 key considerations here when building out your package. The first one is terms of engagement. Now, so what I mean by that is, like, what is the length of the program, right? So is there a minimum commitment period? Is it 12 weeks, 24 weeks, right? Like, do not be ad hoc sessions. Oh yeah, just pay me every week. No. Like, if you do not have a minimum commitment period, you're basically saying your results aren't important. Right? So like when you looked at this thing here, time 12 weeks, it's a minimum 12 weeks. Like when I used to sell this, it was like, okay, so John, just to be upfront with you, so our programs are minimum 12 weeks, minimum training twice a week with a coach, and minimum training 4 times a week in total. Now, is that realistic for you? Be very upfront with it from the outset. Okay. Like, do not beat around the bush, because if you are selling them ad hoc, week to week training, you're not selling results. You're just selling sessions. And if you're selling sessions, you'll be in and out of this industry, like that. Right. The other reason for selling minimum commitment periods is it locks in your cash flow. If you know that you've got 10 clients on 12-week programs right now that are like, let's just say $1,000 per program, or $2,000, that's $12,000 to $24,000 that quarter that you're getting. Or you might have 20 clients paying $500, per 12 weeks, whatever it is. But it helps you set financial targets and know where your numbers are. The other part to the terms of engagement is outside the minimum commitment period is the rules of engagement. So there's the terms of engagement, the length, then there's the rules of engagement between you and the customer, or you and the client. So what I mean by that is, do not be a 7-Eleven personal trainer. Do not be open for business 24/7, 7 days of the week, 365 days of the year. So when someone signs up with you, there should be a clause in your contract or your terms where basically you are very clear that these are the hours of operation. They will not get responded to outside of these hours unless it's an emergency. So how does all that sound to you, John? Do you understand the hours that you're available? We're very clear on that? Cool. Be clear with it from the point of sale. Cancellation policy, very important too. Like, I had a rule. If someone did a late cancellation the first time, that's cool. Like, shit happens, right? Dog sick, kid sick, had to pick the kid up from school, got caught into meeting, whatever, cool, right? If it happens again, look, John, obviously this is now the second time that you've late cancelled on me. I just need to, as per the contract, the terms of engagement, there's a cancellation policy in there, as you know. I didn't dock you for that session the first time. I'm not going to do it this time, but if it happens again, I'm going to have to, because obviously I'm running a business, and by you cancelling on that late notice, that affects my income, and I'm not really given the opportunity, if it's within 24 hours, to fill that with another client, right? And then obviously if it happens a third time, you've already prefaced it and they already know they're getting docked. And then the other one is time allowance. So let's just say the program is a minimum 12 weeks or minimum 24 weeks or minimum 12 months. And they're committing to 2 sessions a week with you, right? So let's just say over 12 weeks, 2 sessions at 24 sessions, we want to give them a 2-week buffer period. So they've got 14 weeks to complete that. Now, why are we giving them the buffer period? They might have a holiday pre-booked that they booked in when they came to sign up that, right now might stop them from signing up with you, because they think that, okay, well, if I sign up for this program, I'm going to lose 2 weeks. No, you're not going to lose 2 weeks. You can just make them up at the end of the program. Or they might give you advance notice of having to cancel sessions, and then they have to move those sessions across the weeks of the program. So that's important too. And then just with the terms of engagement and the length, I actually just want to touch point on this, is that just because you've got a minimum commitment period doesn't mean that it stops at the end of 12 weeks. So one of the drawbacks that people will often say is like, okay, well, Daine, if you're doing a minimum commitment period, what happens at the end of 12 weeks? Doesn't that make the re-sign process harder? I'm like, well, no, because if you've got proper framework set up throughout that 12-week program, contact touch points to communicate with them and feedback, you can pre-frame that throughout the journey. But I go through that in the sales closing course. That's one. The second one is you can actually have it in your agreement that basically they just roll over post 12 weeks onto month to month, and they need a month's notice to cancel the program. And again, you go through that at the point of sale. So they would need to notify you by week 8 of that program, if we use that as an example, that they're no longer staying. If they don't, they're just rolling over. But again, you're just clear with this from the outset, right? And you touch base with them throughout the, because if they're signing an agreement, they're agreeing to the terms of the deal. And principle 4 is like have a sales closing framework. So as I mentioned, like we did over 25 million in PT sales using this system. This is where I developed the system and trained my sales team on it. And I've evolved it over the time through further learning with people like Grant Cardone, Alex Hormozy, Sam Ovens, etc. Um, it works, but remember, practice makes perfect. So basically, I've got a 7-step sales process that we go through. So the first step is we clarify, right? So we clarify why they're here, what their goals are. So it's more of the what. Step 2 is we analyze. So we're analyzing more of the why. Why is this important to them? Right? We kind of get under the hood of their emotions and start kind of trying to drum up some thoughts and feelings around, you know, the pain or the problem that they've currently got. Step 3 is where we kind of label it and reaffirm that, you know what, yes, Houston, we have a problem. I agree with you. I can see why that is such an issue for you. Wow, like I'm really sorry to hear that, but you know what? I can help you, and here's how I can do it. And that's step 4. Step 4 is the how. So like steps 1 to 3, think of it as like what, when, and why. Like, you know, the clarify is like, I want to lose 10 kilos in 12 weeks. Cool. Step 2 is why. Step 3 is I agree with you. Step 4 is here's how we're going to solve it. And that here's how we're going to solve it, as we'll get into, it's basically you're not even talking about the sessions per se. You're talking about how your program looks and feels and what they can expect as a customer going through that. So, you know, again, just to kind of skim over it, clarify why they're here. So the main objective here is you want to establish their what and why. Trigger questions. How did you hear about me? Again, like that's important. How did you hear about me? Because again, if you remember in the brand building, we went through the lead generation sources. You need to know, because as you scale and grow, you need to know where your leads are coming from. What was the main reason for contacting me? How long have you thought about this? Why is it important to you? How, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this to you? Now that one there, if it's not a 10 out of 10 importance to them, you decrease your probability of converting them. But there are some ways to take them from a 7 or 8 up to a 10 throughout the process. You clarify why they're here. Here's where we analyze their situation. So we want to uncover more of their what and why. You know, we want to find out a little bit more about them. Age, location, family. Is there a significant other or family member that supports them? You know, this is where we want to start to kind of probe to see if there are any other people that are key decision makers in this process. Like, are we speaking to the person that calls the shots, basically? Are we speaking to the president of this household? Have they tried to do it before? You know, if it's yes, what and where else have you tried this before? Have they worked with a trainer before? Have they had a bad experience? You need to know this stuff. Because like if they've been burnt, that's going to come up as a potential objection. So you need to get on top of it now, right? You know, if you haven't tried it before, how are you going to feel 12 months from now if you don't actually leave here today having done something, right? Again, how they feel. And then obviously, you know, throughout that process, you know, we bring them down to where we label, like they've pretty much here, they've labeled the issue of far out, you know what, like I've been thinking about this, you know, I've been thinking about this for 3 years. Haven't done anything about it for 3 years. How am I going to feel if after another 12 months I haven't done this? Oh, probably going to be feeling crap. I'm going to be feeling uncomfortable, all these type of things and emotions. So what I'm hearing, John, is that basically for the last 3 years, you've been thinking about this. You've tried a few times to get into it, but just haven't been able to get off the ground because you've just struggled with motivation. Is that correct? Yeah, Daine, you know, like I haven't been able to, you know, I struggle to get up in the morning out of bed. I get halfway into a workout and I stop. So it sounds like to me, John, that like, you're well intentioned, you want to do this, but you just need someone to support you and guide you on this journey, pretty much, isn't it? Yeah, you're right, Dane. Like, I do. I need a mentor. I need someone that can coach. So basically, what I'm doing here is I'm labeling the problem, and I'm getting them to tell me they need me. Okay, great. So basically, John, so how would that weigh? How would you feel now if I was to tell you that, right now you're obviously waking up feeling, unhappy, insecure in your body, etc. How are you going to feel if I was able to, over the next 12 or 24 weeks, transform you, get rid of those 10 kilos, get you feeling more energetic to go run with your dogs or play with your kids? How would that feel compared to now? That's going to feel amazing, Dane. So you're going to feel more energy. So what I'm doing here is I'm making them feel into their future reality. It's like pre-decision framing, right? So I'm taking them from their current state to their desired state, right? You know, based on your goals, you would need to see me. So again, I'm being very clear here. So based on your goal, mate, you're going to need to see me for about minimum 12 weeks and train 4 times a week. Is that going to be achievable for you? Yeah, you know what? Like, Dane, if I've got you in my corner by my side, I can do that. Great. Cool. So let me ask you, how much would that be worth to you if I could guarantee it to you in that period of time, like all of these clients that I've worked with before? Or if you haven't worked with them before, you're still guaranteeing it anyway because you back yourself. And then this is where you basically start to sell them on your solution, right? So this is where you go through, your program. You need to sell me this many times a week. This is what they get: the training, the nutrition, etc. You go through that whole narrative, and then you stop. Again, you reaffirm. Does that process sound like something that you could commit to, John? Yes, great. Okay, so basically your investment is either going to be this much upfront or this much on a weekly payment plan. Is this within your budget? Right? Once you say, is this within your budget, just shut up and wait for them to respond. And the reason why I'm giving them two options is the upfront option is going to be, let's just say it's going to be $1,000 upfront, which is a saving of $200. So in essence, you're going to get 2 to 4 weeks of free training. Or you can pay it on a weekly payment plan. Like, because for certain personality types, which I go into in the sales closing course, they're just going to want to pay up front. Like me, I'm an upfront guy. Other people are going to want to do it on a payment plan. Right? Now, if you're unable to convert them, like they're either going to say, yeah, look, that's within my budget, let's do the upfront. Oh, look, I know it's a bit outside my budget. That basically means that you haven't been able to provide them, or they don't feel comfortable or trust the level of value that you can bring to them. So you generally haven't you haven't done this properly. You haven't got to the crux of why this is so important to them, and you haven't labeled, like, they don't see it as an issue right now. They don't see it as a 10 out of 10 in terms of importance. So if that's the case, great, getting ahead of objections. So, yep, I get it. I'm expensive. In fact, I'm priced on the higher side because I'm actually going to help you achieve your goal, and I'm going to do it in 12 to 24 weeks instead of 12 to 24 months. All right. Well, they might come back and say, yeah, look, I need to speak to my wife. Well, or my husband. Well, we should have already prefaced that earlier on. Right. And if you've prefaced that early on and they bring that back to it, sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness rather than permission too, So like this part here, it's super important that basically you reaffirm, because a lot of times it's going to be financial. They're going to use it as an excuse. So you reaffirm that it's expensive, but then you also bring it back to the fact that they should have, by this time, have you gone through the process, understood and be clear that you're going to help them get 12, 24 months worth of results in a very short period of time, hence why it costs more. You've also pre-framed that, hopefully that they are the key decision maker in the process. Now, if they're not, say, cool, should we call up your wife right now? Or should we call up your husband right now and have a chat? Oh, yeah, I don't know. They're busy. Well, look, let me ask you something then, John. Um, you mentioned before when, when we go through here, do they support this? That your wife is super supportive, right? So do you think she's super supportive? She wants you to be happy and healthy. Do you think that if you purchase this, or that she's not going to be happy for you? Would it be better maybe just to ask for forgiveness rather than permission, because she's already given you approval to basically go out there and look after yourself? Like, there are lots of ways that you can approach it. Because if you do that properly, you then bring them back and reaffirm their decision to buy. So now that we've gone through all that, John, does that make sense? Do you now feel the program meets your needs? Are you now ready to change your life once and for all? And do you have access to funds, or do you need help? Um, Again, there's multiple ways that you can go through it, but ultimately, when it comes to you getting an objection in the sales process, it comes back to is they haven't built trust with you, right? They don't see the value in what you're offering, and you probably haven't painted the picture and gotten them to feel into what that future state, that future body, that future goal is going to look like for them. So in conclusion, sell your client their dream outcome with feelings, not a service. Your price should be based on the result and the time that you're going to save them. And if clients object, you likely haven't listened to them, they haven't built trust with you, and they haven't seen value in what you're potentially offering. So, conclusion: being a true badass has no weight or gender requirement, just 100% commitment to greatness. So I think, I love this quote, because I think if you are committed to, you're obviously here because you don't want to be an ordinary trainer, right? You want to be something more than just, Mary J. PT or Joe Blow PT, right? You want to become an industry leader. You want to have a long-term career. You want to help people get results. You want to impact more people, both locally in your community and on a global scale. So I think applying the fundamental process that we've gone through today is a great step. For some of you guys that are further along in the journey, it might have been a refresher. For some of you guys that are newer in your career, it could have been some, light bulb moments, or it could have been in between. But I think next steps for you guys is obviously applying the principles that we've gone through today. We've also got some, with our courses, you guys know what we're about. And one of the things that we get asked about is you've got all these courses, what do we do? Well, step one for anyone on this call, right, for any trainer actually, is the performance nutrition coach and the performance PT coach certification. Because pretty much these certifications are the nutrition and training programming, science, and information that we developed to train over 250,000 PT sessions. So all of those transformation results that you saw, they came from the frameworks that we teach in these certifications, and they're 3 levels each. So level 1 is kind of the basically core fundamentals. It's systems and processes that you can basically take, plug and play into your business and get results for nutritional training. Level 2 basically adds in some of the science around that and expands on the tools to give you a more holistic and comprehensive skill set. And then level 3 really takes it up a notch. For example, in our PNC level 3, we go into the latest in behavioral science. We go into epigenetics. We go into really cutting edge and forward thinking things that, again, our top coaches used to do and do. And it's going to really give you a skill set that, to be frank, each one of these certifications has over 1,000 peer-reviewed pieces of literature behind them. They're the equivalent in many respects to almost a PhD. There's that much stuff in them. So they generally should be your first, if you're trying to skill stack to get results, to become a subject matter expert so that you can actually, impact more clients, this is where you go. Step 2 would be actually our business courses. This is actually a course that I've got coming out next month. It's going to be priced very low at only $47. So, like, extreme amount of value for you guys. It's going to give you some tools and systems and processes that you can use to scale your business. Because, like, once you've built up the skills to get results and then created some fundamental processes and stuff to grow your business, that's when you should be getting into the specialty courses like the Sebastian Orebs, the Biolanes. They're their kind of unique take on things. Like a lot of people come in and do these first. We actually recommend that you do these first because there's a lot more content in them, and they're going to give you a lot more um, like broad knowledge on a topic. And then basically Seb and Lane come in and really sharpen and like fine tune on things. Like Sebastian, the programming is all around strength and conditioning. Lane, the nutrition is all really around fat loss and training physique athletes. So I think, that's it, guys. So, look, obviously, I just want to say really grateful and appreciative for you guys rocking up today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you all. Obviously, if you've come in halfway or you've come on and you've left, this is going to be available in the student platform within 7 days. So this time next week for you guys to access to. You'll also get an email that comes out to you today. It's going to have some templates and stuff like that we went through today, and some special offers for stuff that we've got coming up. So again, yeah, look, great to connect with you guys. I'll touch base with you next month myself for another free live training event, and I look forward to connecting. All right, talk soon.